drive. Like that's welcome back to Unlockable Character. It is Thursday evening. We made it to the car wash. For those of you new to the channel, this is a laser touchless car wash. I have frozen black paint. It's BMW individual frozen metallic black. And then I have satin PPF, which is from Expel, which maintains that frozen look. And the satin PPF covers the whole car, okay? Didn't waste any expenses there. So I covered the whole car in satin PPF and ceramic coated it. Shout out Drew at Precision Window Tint and Film. He did the whole car. He also did the satin Expel PPF custom cut screen protector for the screen. And these touchless washes, they don't have brushes. You know, that's what you have to avoid. You have to avoid the brush washes. Without a brush, this is really just getting the surface layer dirt off the car. It also rinses underneath the car. This is the best one I've found because it has so many different steps and it's unlimited 24/7. You can go once a day if you get the unlimited monthly membership. And it's open 24/7, so it's kind of a no-brainer. $39 a month. It's got wax, surface protectant. It has a great drying system. It's called Auto Craze, guys. And if you don't know a thing about cars, you know, if you can't use your eyeballs to see what's going on in the video, don't just comment random dumb stuff, you know what I mean? It exposes, you know, a lot of your ignorance. But anyway, should be a chill night, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit more about music because I really think that I have a great taste in music. I've been exposed to so much music in different countries, different genres growing up. I am a musician. I started learning piano and the drums when I was in elementary school. I worked my way up all the way to playing, you know, an entire drum set and knowing everything really about percussion from all different kinds of little percussive instruments. By the way, the piano is a percussive instrument, so it's kind of funny that I was a piano and a drummer. And I used to mix music, and I was, you know, really into audio engineering, sound engineering. So I know a lot about music, and what I want to ask you guys, what I want to hear from you guys is, who are your favorite artists right now? And we can start with an industry, right? So let's look at the hip hop and rap industry. I think, you know, if you really know about the industry and the players and the artists and people who are not just big names, but also, you know, individual artists who promote themselves and are independent, I want to hear like who you guys really like listening to. I'll tell you what, in terms of lyricism, beats, just being unique and individual, I have a few artists that I really love. The first one, his name is Isaiah Rashad, part of TDE, Top Dog Entertainment, you know, Schoolboy Q, Kendrick Lamar, and that group out of California. He's from Tennessee, Isaiah Rashad, and he's got his own flow vibe, and he's so soulful. I just think he's incredible. Doesn't release that much music, but when he does, it's so good. The next artist is Dash. He is from New Jersey, New York, you know, like the Northeast area. Extremely lyrical. Like, this guy is a poet, and his beats are next level in terms of out of this world. He had some songs with a few big artists, you know, like with Playboi Carti. He had a song which kind of blew up, and he still remained very low-key and underground, and I think his lyricism is also just next level. So Isaiah Rashad, Dash, and then I think the next person I'd say is Freddie Gibbs, in terms of, again, insane beats, like super hard, like rap beats, almost like a 90s, big 90s influence in terms of gangster music from the 90s. He's from Indiana, Gary, Indiana, so Midwest, very raw, very authentic. He is lyrical, but his delivery is just next level in terms of extremely thuggish, physical, you know, in your face, while being lyrical, like extremely good. So yeah, we got Isaiah Rashad, Dash, and then Freddie Gibbs. I think those three right now, I could listen to them, you know, non-stop. I think honorable mention for me, If I have one, is Action Bronson, because he's such a good artist. He is, first of all, a chef, so he brings a lot of food and kind of dessert lyrics into his raps, which makes it funny. And he's like a lifestyle rapper, right? So it's enjoying good food, enjoying good locations, you know, restaurants, hotels, experiences, like nice cars. He's into BMWs, you know what I mean? My favorite song from him is called Imported Goods. It's from 2010. There is a video on YouTube where he's doing, you know, he's a bigger guy. He's got red hair, you know, kind of round. And he's doing, you know, like dips and like working out on the streets of New York and Queens. It's just, he's got so much flavor. So Action Bronson is an honorable mention for me. But I'd love to hear what you guys are listening to. You know, if you have like a top 3 plus honorable mention right now in hip-hop rap, let me know, because I'd love to know. We have the Unlockable Character Spotify playlist that is updated every week on Mondays. I've added a few bonus songs in there. Sometimes what I've found is I have unreleased music on there that gets taken off Spotify, so I replace those tracks when they get, you know, taken off Spotify with something else. But yeah, definitely give that a listen, guys. It's always linked in the description, so tell me what you guys think about that playlist. I have seen that some of you have saved it, so I'm glad some of you are liking it. It's got hip-hop, rock, indie, electronic dance music, house music. It's pretty varied playlist, but it's definitely my, you know, taste in music. So definitely give me a shout on that, guys, if you like that playlist and if you've been listening to it. For those of you that are ordering G80s and G82s, like, what are your builds like? If you're building them, share them in the comments. When you build the car online, you get a URL which saves the build. I'd love to see, you know, what you guys are building and what options you're selecting for the car. You know, there's so many different ways that you could build a G80 and G82. You can go all out, but I think there's definitely a few really good options to choose and a few options that you don't need, depending on what you want to do with the car, you know what I mean? Personally, I think the carbon ceramic brakes, I would just always get them because it reduces the mass, the unsprung mass. It weighs less than the steel brakes and rotors, and it reduces the unsprung mass on each corner of the car, which I personally believe is an extra edge in handling and even performance. And also, I think they last. People might get scared, oh, you can't track them. You can absolutely track them. You're not trying to go balls to the wall in this car. If this was a dedicated track car, yeah, probably not a good idea to get carbon ceramic brakes. But if you can go to the track 3-4 times a year, I don't think it's gonna, it's a plus more than it is a negative, you know what I mean? And unless you're tracking it in, you know, Death Valley, California every day, I'm pretty sure these brakes are gonna be fine for you. And they'll also last the life of the car even if you don't track the car. So they weigh less, they look better, right? It's gold, huge rotors. And I just think it's a smart move overall. It's kind of weird. Not sure if that car came in right behind me. Let's see, does he want to race? I don't think a Honda wants to race, but I'm not taking chances, guys. It would be hilarious. I mean, if you want to line up in a Honda next to me, I'm gonna take a look and see, you know, do you have a big ass single turbo in there? Is the interior stripped out? I know what I'm talking about when I pull up next to a Honda. I'm talking about that was regular traffic, you know what I mean? Like newer Honda or Acura. Like, I don't understand what's the point pulling up that quickly next to me when I'm in the left lane, but you know what I mean? If you want the smoke, smoke is there. See, that's cool. The lights on that cop car are actually sequentially going to the left to make sure people know where he is. He's actually parked on the other side. That's crazy. Wow, they're on both sides of that car. That's pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. There's no reason to approach, I think, a car in the right lane when you're going below the speed limit, you should just go around them on the other side. Or what I mean below the speed limit is like 15 to 20 over the speed limit is still what I could consider below the speed limit. Like whatever speed limit you see, just think about the fact that that's probably been around for 40, 50 years. And what is the horsepower of the average car 40, 50 years ago? What is the horsepower of the average car today? What are the safety mechanisms, you know? What are the electronic controls in the car? All of that. All of that has evolved, adapted. The speed limit is still the same. So if you're approaching someone who's doing 76 in the middle lane and you're in the right lane and you're trying to overtake them in the right lane, that's retarded. Like, just, if the left lane's open, go in the left lane. No reason to hang out in the right lane next to a car in its blind spot. I understand when you're passing cars, they're all going slow and you're passing them and you're doing way over, you know what I mean, to just go by. But staying close to them, it makes no sense. It's actually really dumb behavior. So guys, a little bit about AI, right? OpenAI has released a new version of their models, and it's reached the realm of PhD level, you know, intelligence or better in multiple subjects with some limited reasoning capabilities. So reasoning is really the next step when we think about getting to artificial general intelligence that has, you know, if people have reference to IQ scores, we're talking about 140 plus IQ score with PhD level knowledge, PhD level or even better, because when they measure PhD knowledge, what they're saying is that when tested, the latest models from OpenAI are doing 70 to 80% on exams that are for PhD level students in different subjects. And they're beating 70 to 80% of the PhD students who take those exams. Like, that's the crazy thing. So we're really, really quickly reaching a place where it will be possible to build out multiple agents using one model and one provider. Like, if you just use OpenAI, access their API, and build out an entire framework of agents, which are what you could consider an AI that completes a specific function or set of functions that defines a business goal, you know? You could have an army of AI agents just through OpenAI, through access through their API for their latest models. The problem with that is if you get hooked to OpenAI, you are essentially liable, you're at risk, because they control the entire platform. They can squeeze the margins at any point, and they will, because they need to make money. All the billions and billions and billions of dollars that have gone into AI have gone into building data centers full of Nvidia GPUs. The flip side is actually, people think about Nvidia as being, you know, the leading player in the hardware space for AI, but there are other players. Google has their own chipset called a TPU, a tensor processing unit, and that's going to continue to be a competitor to Nvidia. Google doesn't need to buy Nvidia's GPUs. So that's something to really consider. There's also other companies that are producing a different approach to chipsets. I believe one of them is called Grok, and it's not related to X, or, you know, formerly known as Twitter, their Grok, which is a model. This company, Grok, is a hardware company producing chipsets specifically for AI, and they are showing more potential than Nvidia's GPUs. So it's important that people realize that Nvidia might be the biggest player, but it's not the only player, and there are other approaches evolving. So back to OpenAI, they started as a non-profit. Their product, it costs them hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, and they're losing that money running GPT-4 and the latest versions of their ChatGPT products. And so even though they're signing up customers, they're still losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. And their investors are going to, you know, seek returns within the next 3 years. So if you lock in with them, you might as well expect to see massive price increases in a 3 to 5 year time frame. Unless, of course, there are, and there very well could be, incredibly forward-looking leaps in terms of optimization of models to just perform way more tasks that are complex and higher in volume at a cheaper cost. You know what I mean? But figuring that out. And that is where the chipset, you know, who is going to be the biggest player in AI hardware that drastically reduces the cost of running the AI on those chips from a compute perspective in terms of energy, and just that paradigm of like having data centers with the most optimized chipsets that run at the lowest cost. All the progress towards that is going to be facing pressure from investors to seek returns on the billions and billions and billions of dollars of investment. So, you know, I think my personal recommendation for anyone out there is keep evaluating open source models like Meta's Llama models. Learn how to fine-tune open source models, and do not be beholden to one player in the AI space like OpenAI's platform, because you would be essentially then, you know, at risk in so many different ways, not just cost. And people need to take a step back. When you think about AI, a lot of people just think about chatbots now because of ChatGPT. But AI is not just an interface for you to ask questions and get responses. AI can do a lot of things where it's unattended, and you're just honestly benefiting from the work that it's doing. And so if you think about the business world, you could have a variety of different documents coming into your business that are of different types. AI can sit upstream for you and classify those types of documents to come in, and that work, you don't need to chat to the AI, it's just doing that because it intelligently knows, it has reasoning capability. Previously, before AI, we had to use things like robotic process automation where we would write rules. There would be business rules, like if this document contains XYZ, then classify it as 1, 2, 3. And those would be written out. We no longer need to write any rules. That's the most amazing thing. You can take an open source model, you can get examples of, you know, what your proper classifications are, so you can create, you know, essentially examples for the model to understand what you're looking for, and then it just runs from there. And in a beta period, you can invite a few, you know, users to sit as a human in the loop and review, did it classify it properly? Did it classify it properly? And give feedback in the beginning. This could be a few weeks with a few people, and that's fine-tuning where the model is trying to, you know, classify the incoming documents based on the examples you first provided, and then you use humans in the loop to provide positive feedback or negative feedback about the model's selections, and then you iterate. And so fine-tuning is that you can release better versions of the model quickly based on the human feedback. And it's really, really cool. And it's something that doesn't require, you know, a genius to run. People might say that as, oh, that is so difficult to figure out. But if you're aware of, you know, the cloud providers today, like Amazon's AWS, Microsoft's Azure, Google's cloud platform, once you get on those platforms, most of these AI, you know, fine-tuning steps are now low code or no code. You know, it's kind of just plugging in an API key, it's plugging in where your data is, and you no longer even need hardware to do all this, because each cloud provider has their own, you know, storage, CPU, GPU, compute, and you're basically then saying, okay, I'm going to use AWS's Bedrock, which is a sandbox for AI, for example. I'm going to bring in Meta's Llama 3 model and the small parameter version because I want to just see how well that can do. I don't want to spend a lot of money doing this. And you can test by getting some qualified data together, taking the open source model, fine-tuning it against the qualified examples you've created, and then running a beta period or a prototyping period where you bring in users and you give them a way to provide feedback. And now this is really important. How you gather feedback for an AI's output, there's multiple ways of actually thinking about that. The first is what's going to encourage the user to give feedback. And what type of feedback should I be looking for based on the output that the AI is giving? So when you think about text-based output, if you're getting a long text response, how do we know the user is interested in the response or they think that it's a better response than the others? Well, if it's a very long response, you can actually only display maybe the first few words of the sentence or the first few sentences of a paragraph and make the user expand the one that they think is the best. So that act of expanding, that's a user interaction, it's user experience, and now you've gathered their feedback as well along the way because they're expanding the ones that they think are most interesting or most correct. And that's better than just doing a thumbs up or thumbs down, you know what I mean? It's just a different approach to the user experience of giving the feedback to the AI model. So you have to think about all these things, right? There are levels to this. So just, although I said you don't have to be a genius to put it all together, you have to understand the nuances of what you're trying to accomplish and how to get the most out of it with the people who are going to be the human in the loop in the beta program or the prototype feedback program. So you really have to think about those things, guys. All right, I'm gonna chill for a little bit, and when we get closer to Atlanta, we'll get some more lit driving in. All right, guys, let's go. Let's see if there's a crash here, guys. We got an ambulance. Let's see. A lot of traffic ahead. Not sure what it could be, guys. Doesn't seem to have a traffic report on Waze. Could just be construction at night. Wish me luck. I got an Altima with only its daylight running lamps on, not even its headlights behind me. Could be construction, guys. Oh, got some cops ahead. My bet is it's construction. I don't really see anything up ahead, guys, like an accident. So in Atlanta, you do have to look out for sometimes late night construction and then the rush hour, which is morning and afternoon. So there's really only a few time slots that you can pick and choose to drive. The early morning, I think, is still the best. Seeing the sunrise and getting that fresh, crisp air, you know, light breeze. It's probably my favorite time to drive. In the mountains, you can get the fog, like the early morning fog. It's amazing. I do see some more blue lights ahead. Let's see if something happened up there. Now in stop and go traffic is really the best to keep it in automatic in the comfort setting. So I turn everything off. I'm just gonna, there it is. Hit that M1 button twice and everything basically goes back into the regular mode. Got one car on the side, hazard lights on. Wonder if there's a fire truck coming. There is a fire truck coming. That's crazy. Goes. Alright, I know I said construction, maybe it is something bad, guys, because a few cop cars, ambulance, one car on the side with its hazard lights on, and a fire truck. That's probably going to be an accident. Probably a bad accident, unfortunately. Pop this back on when we get closer, guys. Alright fam, that was pretty crazy. There was like a traffic block, so there was probably 5 or 6 cops that blocked off the whole highway. Don't really know what happened, but we're back at it. A lot of that traffic went to the right. Now it's on the right. Maybe it is just slowing things down for construction, to get construction vehicles over. Sometimes that's what they do. Might be a lane closure on this side. I'm wondering if we have to go all the way to the right, and if they blocked off more than one lane up ahead. I think we got one lane blocked on the left, and maybe a detour if all the lanes are blocked up ahead. I'm not sure, guys. Never seen this before. In terms of traffic, I didn't notice any signs that said there might be like lane closures tonight. So it looks like it could be as many as 2 lanes up ahead, guys. It's pretty interesting traffic, I'm not gonna lie. That was a sick Corvette that went by. So that's an exit, and I think that goes back towards Dunwoody. If you stay on this side, you go back to Buckhead and then Midtown Atlanta. So I've seen that exit. This usually has 3, even 4 lanes. Not really sure what's going on with the construction though. For those of you that live in Miami, you know, how easy is it to go out for drives? Because I've been to Miami a few times now. I've rented cars there, and I mean, there's so much traffic downtown. Of course, you don't want to be driving around there, but outside, you can very quickly get into like swampland or like very underdeveloped. So You know, are there good stretches? Let me know if you guys are from Miami. I'd love to know. I know there's a lot of construction going on all the time too. So those cones were there, but no one was actually in there, guys. Series on the left, guys, not an M4. Marta going by, guys. Man, this car is an animal, even in rear-wheel drive. Like, that's... I was like, well, who is that making all that noise? That sounds like a truck. Ooh. Can you guys tell from those headlights what that is? I think it's a Nissan with the hazard lights on that side of the dump. So for those of you that don't know, the dump is a furniture store. Pretty funny name, not gonna lie. Just wants to clear its throat, you know what, guys? You know what I mean? Like, oh. Goodness, guys, it just sounds like nothing else on the road. Unreal. See, in rear-wheel drive, it's not delivering the power with as much traction as all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive sport. So you can rev higher, but you're not going as fast, you know, and yeah, it's good for sound, but mentally you have to be ready. But when you're switching between four-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, the sound will not give you as much, you know, acceleration. Specifically, the same sound that you would hear in four-wheel drive sport based on the RPMs is not going to give you as much, you know, velocity or acceleration. fam, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Catch you tomorrow, and this weekend should be lit. Hoping to see if some of my good friends will let me do some POV reviews on some other cars. I think you guys are going to be excited to see. So, alright guys, I'm going to get through this light with you. Oh. And I'll catch you next time.